It's my pleasure to welcome everybody in this good morning for the session on eco-friendly construction materials by Dr. P. Asha, Professor Civil Engineering, St. Peter's Institute of Higher Education and Research. Good morning, madam. Good morning, everybody. Now, I request Mr. A. Sekar, Associate Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, to welcome the gathering and give a brief history of the resource person, Dr. P. Asha. Over to you, Sekar sir.
Thank you, sir. Happy morning to all. I would like to welcome our chairman, vice chairman, director, principal, all HODs, speaker, and faculty members. Last but not least, I welcome our valuable participants. My warm welcome to all for this wonderful webinar session. Welcome to all. Now, I would like to speak professional history about our resource person, Dr. P. Asha, Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, St. Peter's Institute of Higher Education and Research. She opted BTech and MTech in Pondicherry Engineering College and got her doctorate degree in Anna University. She has 5 years industrial experience from L&T and ECC division and 13 years academic experience. During the academic period, she published many papers in national and international journals and conferences. Recently, she received Vishwakarma Award and now guiding around 8 numbers of PhD scholars. Thank you, sir.
Now, I request Dr. P. Asha, Professor, to start the session.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for introducing me. I'll start the session. So today I have come to talk about the eco-friendly construction materials. So the eco-friendly construction material, when we start with the conventional definition, it's nothing but a material which uses less energy and it has only less impact on the human well-being and the environment. So any product or service that have a lesser or reduced effect on human health and environment when compared to the competing products is said to be an eco-friendly material.
Hello.
Hello?
Whether I'm able to audible to everyone. Hello? Whether I'm audible to everyone?
Yeah, ma'am, audible.
Yes,
Just
ma'am.
continue.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If I'm not audible, you please message me so that I will stop and I will continue. So any eco-friendly material is nothing but which has less energy and also which has less impact. Just now I told it. So the construction industry, unfortunately, when we are using any material, we are unknowingly or knowingly we are destroying the natural resources, and particularly it causes irreversible environmental impacts. So if you see the picture here, it is nothing but a stone quarry. So the quarry is getting depleted for use as coarse aggregates in the construction. So we are destroying the natural resources which are being available to us. So using eco-friendly materials is the best way to have an eco-friendly building. So as all we know, bamboo, it's a very commonly available material, but not in the urban areas, but in the rural areas, you can see the bamboo, which is nothing but a type of grass. So if you see the bamboo, it is actually a member of grass family, and it is to be one of the fast growing plants on the planet, supposed to grow up to 3 feet per day. So we can compare this with the another, we'll be asking why not the other trees. The reason is, for construction purposes, the bamboo can be harvested up to every 3 years. In contrast, if you take the trees, it grows, it takes about 25 to 50 years to grow. So that is the reason why bamboo is said to be an eco-friendly material. So this is a picture of a green roof. So we all talk about the eco-friendly construction. This is one of the best method of eco-friendly construction, that is the planting vegetations on the roof of the buildings. So the roof of the buildings, we have to design it in such a way that we will plant vegetation in future. So anything we are saying, it is not as easy as we think, because that building has to be designed and constructed in such a way that it does not cause any damage due to the any extra actions we are taking in future. Like we create the green roofs, it's we have to provide a waterproofing membrane. It is very, very important. And also we have to add soil and also the vegetation over the roof. So we cannot say make it the existing roof as the green roof, because it will cause extra weight to the roof slab which is being constructed. So we have to take care that this weight is being considered in the design, and the building or the roof does not fail, does not get damaged due to this living room. So that is to be another point to be taken care. So another eco-friendly building, if you see the container shown here, so the container is nothing but shipping container. It is nothing but the material or the structure which is being used for shipping. So that is being disposed every after 20 years, and it is still in good working condition. So these containers can be useful for us in many ways, and it is durable and relatively inexpensive and eco-friendly, because they can be recycled. So eco-friendly mainly means that the material which does not cause any damage to the environment, as well as it should be able to be recycled. So have been used to build artist studios, emergency shelters, even school, classrooms, portals, labs, apartment buildings, and just about anything else you can imagine. So the next eco-friendly material we can take as the electrochromic smart glass. So what is meant by electrochromic smart glass? It's an electronically switchable glass, that is, it can be used in the partitions, windows, or skylights. So the electrochromic glass is so unique that it will not allow all the amount of heat or light passing through it. We can have a control over it so that it passes only the required amount of heat and light inside a room or a hall or inside a building, so that it regulates the temperatures or create privacy at the flick of a switch. So here you can see a picture. So we can control the amount of heat and light passing through the window. So if we are doing this, what is the advantage we get is, we can be making the building, the rooms as the energy efficient, and it removes the need for shading devices. So we do not have any extra shading devices which will completely block our outdoors and make the buildings very less sustainable. So if you see in general, the buildings consume around 40% of our total energy and 68% of electricity, while of carbon dioxide. So in order to overcome this, can have the conventional windows, and the room will get heated up, which cannot be controlled. Again, we have to increase the AC temperature so that the coolness in the room is maintained. So again, it is causing more energy consumption. And also we are not using the natural daylight and an outdoor view when you are using a conventional window. So all these disadvantages can be overcome when you are using a smart window like this. So how does it work? How does a smart glass work? So it is having 2 layers of glass. When you just switch it on, it will become transparent. so that the liquid crystals which is available inside the layers of glass will get aligned so that we get a proper vision through the glass. When you just switch it off, it will become opaque so that it will refract the light that is entering the window. So this is how it is working. This is the pictorial representation of the electrochromic window in the on condition and the off condition. In the on condition, you see the molecules inside the crystal is aligned in a proper regular manner so that there will be easy transfer of heat and light, and this amount of heat and light is aligned in such a way that we apply an electric power to it. If you put it in the power off mode, the molecules are randomly oriented so that it will not have allow the light and heat to pass through it. It will completely become opaque. So this is the way the electrochromic glass is getting worked. So now have the students have joined? Have the students have joined? Karthik sir? So I want to just post a question in between so that they also will not get bored. Shall I go for questions? Okay, I'll post the questions. You just post the answers in the chat window. So based upon the slides we saw, so what is meant by eco-friendly construction means? Whether it is consuming more energy or whether it is consuming less energy or whether it is increasing impact on health and environment or none of the above. So I want all the students, participants to post answers for these questions in the chat window. We give 1 minute time.
Excuse me, ma'am. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah.
If PPT screen is not visible, ma'am, kindly share it, ma'am.
Yes. I'll do
Thank
it
you.
again. But I didn't.
Okay, ma'am.
Is there any control from your side for the screen to be visible?
No, ma'am. Actually, you are control only.
Okay, I'll do it again. It's asking multiple participants. Shall I click that?
I
Is
am,
there
ma'am. Click it,
anyone to
ma'am.
help? I have clicked it. Now it is being available.
No, ma'am. It's not visible.
Try to share it.
Ma'am, click that share screen button, ma'am, instead of that.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah, ma'am. It's visible, ma'am. Now it's visible. Thank you, ma'am.
Visible?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah.
It's visible.
It's not visible. You can WhatsApp to me my number also so that I'll become alert. I don't know whether it is being visible to you or.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Now it's visible, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am. Visible, ma'am. Now it's visible.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Students are online. Are they answering the question? I'll pose the question again. So eco-friendly construction, it means I'm giving 4 options. So whether it is consuming the one which is having less energy or it is using more energy or using the impact on health and environment, none of the above. Subhadra ma'am, are the students answering the quiz?
Eco-friendly construction materials. Eco-friendly construction materials.
Eco-friendly construction, whether it is consuming more energy, less energy, or increasing impact on health and environment, and none of the above. So what does eco-friendly construction means? I just want the participants to answer for this. Yes. Bharani Rajavel has answered us the one which consumes less energy. So the screen is not visible to you. I'm not aware of it. Sorry. Now it is being corrected, I think. Yeah, it's consuming less energy. Yes. So I thank the participants who are responding in the chat window. So I'll continue with this now. So the eco-friendly construction is the one which is consuming less energy. So now I'll proceed other eco-friendly construction materials. The next one is the fly ash bricks. So as we all know, fly ash is being used for a long time in the construction industry, which is a byproduct obtained from the thermal power station. So earlier it was used only in the concrete for construction, but nowadays it is being used for the bricks also. So the fly ash bricks are manufactured (90 to 100 kilograms per centimeter square). Whereas if you take the absorption, water absorption, the conventional bricks absorb 15 to 25%, whereas the fly ash bricks absorb only 10 to 14. Again, this also another advantage. And the dimensional stability, conventional bricks will have very less dimensional stability. That is, the dimensions are not maintained continuously for a long time. Whereas the fly ash bricks, it has high tolerance. And wastage during transit. During transportation, if you take the conventional bricks, it is wasted. Material is broken and it's become powder up to 10%. Whereas fly ash bricks, the wastage is less than 2%. So if you use this bricks for making the walls construction, the plastering, if you apply on both sides of the walls, the thickness is not constant in the case of conventional bricks, whereas in the fly ash bricks, it is even. So all the points, it is getting more superior than the conventional bricks. That is the use of this fly ash bricks. So this is the photograph of showing the that shows the fly ash bricks in a manufacturing place. So of course, it is an eco-friendly construction material. So this material, it replaces not completely replacing, but partially replaces the cement, which is a main culprit for emitting the carbon dioxide gases. So any material which is replacing the cement and causing less harm to the environment are said to be eco-friendly. The next one is plastic embedded lightweight brick using fly ash. So fly ash bricks was first introduced, and then now people have come up with use of plastic waste inside the brick, and they are producing bricks with using electric machines. So conventional bricks, if you take, it is being fired in the kilns. So it is being burnt to a very high temperature, and it consumes lot amount of energy, and it emits gases into the atmosphere. Whereas this plastic embedded lightweight fly ash bricks does not use any heating. It is using only compression technique for producing the bricks, and it is said to be 10% lighter than the conventional bricks. So commercially, it is known as Zeeran bricks, which makes them super cost effective. So using fly ash itself is an eco-friendly method. In addition to that, if you are using some plastics, then it is more super cost effective as well as eco-friendly. So plastic embedded lightweight brick using fly ash. So it is another advantage is it provides thermal insulation. So the thermal insulation is a very much important property required in the hot places like Chennai. So where we have high temperatures. And also if you stay in very cold places, the outside coldness should not penetrate through the walls into the building.
Sorry, ma'am.
So
Excuse me, ma'am.
cases, if you use...
Ma'am, your screen is not visible again, ma'am.
Now it's visible, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am. Now it's visible. Thank you.
I don't know why it's going again. Visible?
Yeah, ma'am. It's visible, ma'am. Now.
It's visible, ma'am.
Yeah, visible,
Yeah, ma'am.
ma'am.
It's now visible, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you. So the fly ash bricks again, ma'am. It is being recorded, no? The program is being recorded.
Yeah, ma'am. It's being
Subhadra?
recorded, ma'am. Yeah,
Okay,
ma'am.
thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am.
So plastics itself is a material. In addition to this flash bricks, if you add plastic in it, which is another waste material, it becomes double eco-friendly, and it is also than the conventional flash bricks and also the conventional clay bricks. So this being taken, this is the wall beam which is being constructed with the plastic embedded lightweight bricks. So if you are using plastic, that one disadvantage is there, that is the strength may get reduced, and we have to take care of it. So this is the photograph of the students who have the startup of fly ash bricks with plastic waste. So like this, I want the students, current students, to have some interest in these materials and find something innovatively like this people. So just to motivate you, I showed that. Geopolymer concrete. So geopolymer concrete is also another new material which is being introduced in the market. That is, it has only fly ash and GGBS as the cementitious material. You do not have any OPC. So if you are completely omitting OPC, it means that you are saving lot amount of carbon dioxide emission into the atmosphere and also less energy consumption. So the fly ash and the GGBS, it is being used. Along with that, the fine aggregates and coarse aggregates are being used. And another important ingredient of this geopolymer concrete is the alkaline activator solution. So why do we require this alkaline activator solution? Is it's act like a catalyst which increases the pozzolanic activity of the fly ash and GGBS. So simply if we add fly ash and GGBS, the chemical reaction for producing the binding capacity is very less. So in order to activate that only, we are having this alkaline activator solution in the geopolymer concrete, and they use all alkali silicates, hydroxides. That is, you can use sodium hydroxide, sodium silicate. So if you refer, many research is being going on in this area. I don't want to get into the detail of that, but just to tell you that geopolymer is the one which is completely avoiding the use of cement. It comes under the category of eco-friendly materials. So the main ingredients they have used so far is fly ash and GGBS. We can try with another new materials. So this is the photograph which shows the ingredients of the geopolymer concrete, that is aggregates, water, activators, GGBS, PF, that is pulverized fly ash, geopolymer concrete. So these are the main ingredients in the geopolymer concrete. What are the mechanical properties? So any material which, if you are claiming as the eco-friendly, or whether it is we are doing research in that material, it means that it should have definitely some better properties than the conventional concrete. So we cannot simply add plastic, we cannot simply avoid the OPC, but we have to prove that this material is superior to the other conventional existing materials. So if you take the compressive strength of the GPC, that is the geopolymer concrete, it goes up to 35 MPa in 24 hours. If you compare the 28A compressive strength, it goes up to 70 MPa. And the rate of gain also, it seems to be faster than the normal concrete. And the modulus of elasticity. What is modulus of elasticity? We test the stress strain behavior of the concrete, define the slope of it, and then we get the E value. The E value plays a major role in resisting the deflections, but that is to be comparatively lower than the normal concrete. Then the porosity is also another durability property which is found to be low in the GPC. The chloride penetration is also very, very low. The chloride penetration, if it is low, it is advantageous. It is not allowing the chlorides inside it. The next one is the drying shrinkage, low, heat of hydration low, fire resistance high, acid resistance high, and it behaves similar to the cement concrete beams. So these are the properties of the geopolymer concrete. So this is some photographs showing the airport pavements which is being constructed at Brisbane. You can see the smooth finish of it, as well as it is very durable. So that is the property. Strength and durability only is the important properties which we expect from the materials in the construction. So both are being satisfied. So the next one is I want to tell about some alternate materials for the aggregates. So since we are using the stones, that is the blue metals or the coarse aggregates, there are different names for the coarse aggregates, that is basically taken from the granite mountains. So nowadays, if you see, everywhere it is being exploited, and the mountain and the granite quantity also it is getting used vastly. So everywhere we have a shortage of natural resources. So we should try, or we should explore what are the alternate aggregates. So Palankar, these are all the research works done already. I have given the references also on the site for you to refer. In 2015, they have conducted a research on the steel slag aggregates. So steel slag so steel slag, it is being used as the coarse aggregates. If you are doing this, you are conserving the natural aggregates. That is the main aim for eco-friendliness. So another important advantage is the steel slag, when it is being used in the dump yards, it is having high cost involved in it, and also the negative impact is more. So this steel slag, which is being produced from the either oxygen furnace or electric arc furnace. So either method it is being produced, and it is being dumped generally. But this is not an effective way of disposal of this waste material. So instead, if we use it as coarse aggregate, we are not only preventing the environmental impact it is creating on the land, but also we are having some beneficiaries. So what is of steel which is being used? So that is a comparison. So any material which is being put into the concrete, we have to check whether it is being having superior behavior than the conventional thing. So if you are suppose using the steel slag instead of the coarse aggregate, you have to check whether it is coarse aggregate. That is what it is done here. So the specific gravity of the conventional aggregate is 2.69, whereas this is 3.35. And the bulk density also, it is 1700, whereas the conventional one is 1500. The crushing value, so aggregate means you have to test the crushing value, but that is comparatively lesser than the conventional aggregate. And the Los Angeles abrasion value, suppose if you are using it in the payments or in an industry field, we have to check for this product. All these values are low. So accordingly, we have to decide where we have to use this aggregate. So any waste material, we cannot 100% say that it is super beneficial, but of course it can be used in appropriate situations so that we can reduce the waste dumpage into the land. So if you take the compressive strength at 28 days, the steel slag, they have tested the steel slag with the geopolymer. It is found that 56.1 Newton per mm square it is obtained. Conventional thing is 55.9. So it is almost same in par with the conventional thing. If you take the slump value also, it is 35, whereas the conventional concrete is also having 35. So like this, we have to compare various properties which we are obtaining with this alternate materials. If you take the unit weight, it is nothing but the density of concrete. So 24.8 is the conventional concrete unit weight, whereas if you take geopolymer concrete with steel slag, the unit weight keeps on increasing. So what would be the reason? The density of the aggregate is higher. That is mainly causing the increase in the unit weight. So like this, we have to analyze what is the effect of that. Similarly, if you take the flexural strength, split tensile strength, all these parameters, the steel slag aggregates, it is having a property of the conventional concrete with the 25% replacement. Tensile strength increases at the 25 and 50. Whereas flexural strength, it increases only at 25. Thereafter, it is getting decreased. So you should find out what is the optimum percentage of use of steel slag aggregates, and then you have to proceed. Modulus of elasticity, if you take, it is getting decreased. So it is not as stiff as the concrete. So like this, we have to classify. So now it's time for the second question. So I want participants to answers for this in the chat window. What does GPC stand for? Plain concrete or geoplane concrete or geopolymer concrete or none of the above? Kindly share your answers. Yes. Yes, so I can see some students who are typing the answers. Yes, option 3, geopolymer concrete. So for Ramya, I'm not audible. I think I'm almost audible to most of them. If I'm not audible, the coordinator will inform me. Yes, GPC stand for geopolymer concrete. So here afterwards, if you see anywhere GPC, you will remember me. So like at least I have created some awareness that I have enlightened you in some areas of the eco-friendly concrete. So now continuing to the presentation, the answer is 3. So this is a picture which shows the environmental imbalance. So we are talking about the eco-friendly in this presentation. So just I want to show you. So why do we go for eco-friendly materials? What is the necessity? What are all the effects which we are continuously using for decades and decades? The stones, the sand from the riverbed, and of course the cement, the limestone for the cement. So what does it cost? If you see on the left hand side, you can see the effects of the depleting natural resources. That is, it affects the flora and fauna, and it causes saltwater intrusion. How does the saltwater intrusion occur? Because we are keep on excavating the soil, that is the river sand from the river beds, which is acting as a protection for us. We completely make it empty now. We keep on excavating the river sand continuously for longer time and without any limits. And also disappearing beaches. Even the beach sand is being now excavated because we want sand, and the river sand is getting completely decreased now. The quantity available is completely decreased. So what should we do? As a civil engineer, what should we do? So why can't we think of alternate materials? So that is the next one, that is the M-sand. So all of you, I think you would have known by this term M-sand. So M-sand is mainly nothing but it is produced from the hard granite stone, which is cubically shaped with the grounded edges, washed and graded with consistency to be used as a substitute for river sand. So this is the manufacturing sand. First we do drilling, then blasting of the rocks, and we do the extraction. It is subjected to primary crushing, screening, and then it is being subjected to secondary crushing, and then again it is finally washed and the sludge is removed, and finally it is converted into M-sand and it is being transported. So M-sand is not just the waste material obtained from the crushing of granite. It is being subjected to different processes. You can see as in the flow chart. So it is being tuned to act as a fine aggregate in the concrete. So M-sand is having higher fineness modulus. So it is having very comparable workability with the concrete compared to the natural river sand. M-sand is also free from salt and clay particles, which offer better abrasion resistance, and it has higher unit weight and lower permeability. So it is less disruptive to the environment because we are already using the waste material available. So it is less harm to the environment, and we are not using extra energy in producing them. Perfect grading and cubical shape of the M-sand will give higher strength. So any sand particle should have a particular grading property. That means it should have certain sizes, ranges in that. Then only it can be used in the concrete. And also the shape. It should have a cubical shape for better workability and durability. So it is more cost effective than the river sand due to the low transportation cost and availability because it's a waste material. So when we come to the features of the eco-friendly buildings, so if you say a building is an eco-friendly building, what are the features it should have? It should have a solar panel. All of you would be aware of the solar panel. It converts the heat energy from the sun and converts it into electrical energy or for heating water or providing electricity in the house, like that. Next one is if you use Energy Star appliances. Nowadays we go for 5-star rating, 3-star rating. That is nothing but the Energy Star appliances. So it increases the energy, it uses less energy, and it decreases the current bill also. So those type of apparatus or instruments you have to use. And water conserving methods. So what are the water conserving methods? Either you have rainwater harvesting, or you have to use low flow shower heads, faucets and toilets. So in other foreign countries nowadays, you can see in the Facebook and WhatsApp, many videos are coming. Just an example from my observation, I'm saying they are using the toilet flush water, the wash basin flush water for flushing in the toilet. This is a very simple example. So we have to think in that way, so that how the grey water can be used for recycling in our own house. So the rainwater harvesting system, like watering, the wastewater can be used for watering your garden, washing the car, or even toilet, saving gallons of water. So and you can use the water using instruments which uses less amount of water. Like that, you can think and use the apparatus or instruments or devices. The next one is the low emittance windows. I told you already about thermochromic glass. Like that, you can use an energy efficient air conditioning. When you are using energy efficient ratio, you have to be very keen on that. That is, if you divide the output by its input, it should be high. You should have less input for current, but the output should be high. You should use such amount of devices in this construction or after construction, so that you can cool your home effectively while saving money on your electric bill. And another one, smart thermostats. Nowadays, it is being available in the conventional AC itself. So it goes up to a certain temperature and automatically cuts off. So it turns off the unnecessary heat while you are work and back on when you are at home. Similarly, smart lighting. When you are not available, it should get switched off automatically. Like this, latest technologies, smart technologies you have to use. And also the insulation. So insulation is a main thing. It is being done in the Western countries. So far, we are not using any insulated walls. But it is better to go for insulated walls in order to avoid the transmission of unwanted heat inside the buildings. So some of the materials we can use for the insulations are in the cotton, cork, and recycled plastics, etc. can be used for the insulation purpose. So insulation is nothing but it acts as a barrier. And there is also now a wide variety of natural eco-friendly alternatives to traditional insulation materials, which often contain high amounts of problematic chemicals and additives. When using insulations also, you should be very careful that we are not using any materials which are harmful to the human health. Nowadays, we can see advertisements in the TV like paints, which is shielding your house. It acts like a lamination, paints like that. So all these materials are used as an insulation only. It's a paint example. Like that, we can explore in the walls also, which is acting as an insulating material. So next one, a new building, you should take care that you are using the maximum lighting and ventilation which is available outside your home, so that you need to switch on the lights and fans during the day. Daytime itself, but it is very common in our houses in such a way jam-packed that we cannot. So we as civil engineers, we have to plan effectively that we are allowing the natural light and ventilation like we did in the olden days. Actually speaking, the olden methods are very golden methods, because they made use of the light and air which is available in the outside atmosphere to make visible, to make the inside of the home to be very bright. They did not use any tube lights. They did not use any fan using the daytime. But conventionally, now you see in every house, even during the daytime, the AC is running. So we are in that situation now. So we have to plan our houses in such a way that we get the maximum lighting and ventilation. And another one is the reclaimed wood. So the reclaimed wood is nothing but the wood which you get from the forest, which are meant purposely for this, or you can use the waste wood like from the destroyed houses. So any material which is being destroyed and thrown on the roadside, you can think of me using it. So that is called the reclaimed wood. So reclaimed wood has many advantages and wonderful unique character. So the wood reclaimed from the old buildings and furniture, it is being more of mature. It is more often very useful. It is more stronger, durable, and less prone to warping. So we can think about this. The construction, it doesn't mean only cement, sand, and aggregates, but also the wood, also glass, also everything comes under construction material. So we should also think about this. So if you unnecessarily, you can think of alternate options like whether we can use the wood available already. Like that, you can think and you can use the material. So this is some photograph I'm showing for your understanding. The person is installing the solar panel on the roofs. And this is the grey water reuse. that is the water which is being collected after washing the vessels. It can be treated and it can be used in the planting the grass or any other vegetation. Okay, so like this they are using, and this is a carpet which is being used from the recycled like cloth or a material or a plastic. We can think about this. And this is a frame. Nowadays, instead of wooden windows and frames, they have UPVC windows. So UPVC windows also will have the recycled plastics in that. We can think of this also. So like this, there are many areas which are to be explored in the eco-friendly construction. This is another roof garden. So now I come to the third question. So mention any two features of eco-friendly buildings which we discussed now. Any two features. So the participants are requested to send the feedback into the link which is given there. So kindly all of you who are listening to this lecture, share your feedback into that URL. Then only you can get the certificates. Since we have also organized such webinars, so I'm just giving this instruction. So mention any two features of the eco-friendly buildings. We discussed about some 7 to 8 features. So you can share about any 2 to 3 features. It's just an interaction instead of me talking continuously. I want you also to participate. Yes, Bharani Rajabel has answered. I am getting answers only from 1 or 2 students. What about the other participants? Yes, Arif has replied as consuming less energy and not harm environment. Good. Next. So I want all the other participants also to be active, not just listening. You can type in this chat window to be more interactive. Yes, Shenpaka, Jayaprakasam, environmental and less energy. And Adlin Nisha. So she has asked a question, which fabric is most environmental friendly? You can take as a cotton is being more environmental friendly. And if you take the most eco-friendly material, whatever we are discussing now, that fly ash, recycled plastics, steel slag, these are all eco-friendly material. Bamboo, these are all some examples for precast building as it is not eco-friendly, but you can make it eco-friendly by incorporating the supplementary cementitious material or waste material or any other construction material which saves less energy. Then only it become eco-friendly. Okay. So thank you for the answers. I'll proceed now. Is my screen visible? Is my screen visible?
Yeah, ma'am,
Okay.
visible, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. So I come to the next one, that is the eco-friendly cement. So eco-friendly cement, if you take the first one, we can say about the Portland Pozzolana cement. So Portland Pozzolana cement is already known to you all. That is, it is nothing but replacing the conventional cement with the fly ash or GGBS like that. So those type of cements are available now in the markets. So it is an eco-friendly material. It is because it is replacing the opaque clinker with the gypsum and other material about blending in them. So it's an example for eco-friendly material. And this use is just for the Portland cement is emitting so much of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, whereas the slag cement and GGBS, that is the GGBS cement and fly ash cement is emitting about only 10% of the carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And this is the cement production. The cement production, it is increasing day by day, and we are in the second place next to China. So now we are following them in the Corona also. We are now following in the cement production also. We are following them in the second place. So we have to think of an alternative definitely. You can use low carbon cement. That means the carbon emission which is being reduced. So nowadays, many research has been going on in this area. They are trying for magnesium-based cements, calcium silicate cements, with reduced clinker content, geopolymers, I already told you. So next one is low carbonate clinkers. and cements with reduced clinker content. Clinker is the main culprit which is emitting more amount of carbon dioxide. So many people have tried in this areas where we can have less emission of carbon dioxide. So why carbon dioxide is produced in the cement production? Because we are calcinating the limestone. We are heating the limestone so that it will be converted into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. And remaining 40% it is being caused by means of the fossil fuels, and 10% is in the transportation of the materials. So due to this only, the carbon dioxide emission is very, very high in the cement production. So we have to take care how to reduce this. And next one is the limestone calcined clay cement. It is being a hot topic, and it is being in a research by many people. So this is nothing but you are using low grade clay and dolomite rich limestone. The firing will take place only at half the temperature. So you need not about 1450 degrees centigrade. Generally in the cement production, it means that you are heating the limestone to a very high temperature, which emits the carbon dioxide gas. Whereas in this type of cement, the temperature is only half, that is around 700 to 800 degrees centigrade. So the emission of the carbon dioxide is also will come drastically down. So this is the carbon dioxide emission. If you take to the OPC and then you take the LC3, it's around half of the carbon dioxide which is being emitted. And alternate fuels you can think of. Instead of using only the conventional coal, you can think about the paper waste, lead waste, used tires, etc. So these can be taken care by the cement industry so that we will get less carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. An analysis of the alternate fuels. So they are comparing the properties of the different fuels which is being used. We can use even pet coke, we can use even the waste tires, etc. for burning the, for causing the high temperature burning in the cement. The next one is the supplementary cementitious material. The supplementary cementitious material already you will be knowing by this time. That is the fly ash, GGBS, etc. It is being part with the supplementary cementitious material. So any byproduct which is being used in alignment with the OPC, you can use it. Okay. The next one is silica fume also is now in the picture. You can use silica fume as a supplementary cementitious material in the concrete, which is eco-friendly. This is the photograph. It shows the OPC, fly ash, and the silica fume. And next one, you can use the recycled materials. So instead of going for the pulverized fly ash or the GGBS or silica fume, you can even use the materials which is being already used and destroyed or thrown out. Suppose if you take recycled material, the best example we can see is the recycled concrete. So everywhere now, particularly in Chennai, if you see, the buildings are being demolished for no reasons. Even some buildings, if you see, if they are in good condition, for minor repair may be required, but people destroy it. They want to build a very modern, very big construction, or they want to convert a residential building into an apartment. It is being happening nowadays everywhere. So you think about the waste materials which is being created. So you can use the demolished concrete as the recycled aggregates in the concrete. So researchers have been already done in this area. And they have found that the strength of the recycled aggregate concrete is comparable or sometimes even more higher than the conventional concrete. Conventional concrete, if you take, it is 43.44 MPa, whereas the recycled aggregates, it's having 45.22. Even if you can completely replace the coarse aggregates with the conventional recycled aggregates, the strength is about 45 MPa. Similarly, the wear resistance also is comparatively better than that of the conventional concrete. And another thing is self-curing concrete. So why should I talk about the self-curing concrete in eco-friendly construction? Is we save the amount of water when we use the self-curing concrete. The internal curing itself will help the concrete to get cured. And we need not use additional external water. And in places like Chennai, we have many can So this is a picture which shows the using the recycled concrete in the construction. That is the demolition, donated, and then it is used in the construction. So using the recycled concrete also, it is not as easy as we thought. We have to treat when you are using, you have to be taking care that you do proper treatment for the materials. As it cannot be included in the concrete. It may have some detrimental effects. So you have to carefully analyze the physical and the chemical properties of the materials which is being used. Then only you have to try for exploring in the concrete. So nowadays simply people are trying for use in the concrete. Don't do that. As far as possible, please try to study the physical and chemical properties and whether it is compatible, whether it is suitable for use in the concrete construction, then only you can use it for concrete. So with this, I conclude my talk on the eco-friendly construction. These are the references. So this, I hope the coordinators informed me. This is available in the YouTube also. At any point, you can use it and refer it for your future purpose, either it for students for the project purpose or for the research scholars for the research purpose. I thank you. I thank the organizers of the institution and Dr. Karthik sir for giving me this opportunity of presenting about eco-friendly materials to the students as well as the faculty members. I conclude my talk with this now. And is there any questions? If there is any questions, you can ask me. So there is a question in the chat window.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Question in the chat window, ma'am. Compared to R sand and M sand, which is better for strength?
M sand is also equal, is having equal strength as that of the river sand. M sand is also having equal strength as that of the river sand. So it is being proved. So we can go for M sand.
Okay,
the strength properties have been studied. And the replacement of fly ash up to 35%. So yes, it is possible. Jayaprakasam has asked a question whether we can go for replacement of fly ash up to 34, even up to 60% also they have been used. If you refer the research papers, I have seen that fly ash has gone up to even 60% in some papers. Definitely, we can go for higher than that. We have to study the property. We have to try it in our research, and we have to explore whether it is having higher strength and durability properties. But already people have done above 34% also. How do you make concrete eco-friendly? Vimala Rani has asked. For the past 1 hour, we were talking about how to make the concrete eco-friendly, either by using supplementary cementitious material or by using recycled material or by using geopolymer concrete in any of these methods. So compared to GGBS and fly ash, which is better? As per my knowledge, I feel that each material has its own advantages and disadvantages. But I think fly ash is better than GGBS because in the conventional PPC cements also, fly ash based cements is available before GGBS. Of course, GGBS cement is also available, but fly ash will be having better property than GGBS.
Ma'am, one question, please.
Yes.
Latest use of geopolymer concrete in which place, ma'am? Except IIT Madras.
Geopolymer concrete has been used worldwide. Many projects have been done in Australia, sir.
Okay.
It's being done in IIT Madras, but the origin was in Australia.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, ma'am.
Yes.
Another question, ma'am. Which cement is eco-friendly?
Which cement is eco-friendly? That is the Portland Pozzolana cement, we can say so far. But now latest LC3 cement, that is calcined clay cement I mentioned, no, that is going to be ruling out in a few days. Calcined clay cement is found to be more eco-friendly than any other cement because it is reducing the clinkering temperature itself is half degrees. That is, if you use 1500, the LC3 cement use only 700 to 800 degrees centigrade. So definitely it is going to be more eco-friendly than the PPC also. And normally after 28 days, concrete cube strength, why it is increasing, Jay Prakasam? Because the hydration process gets completed after 28 days. So once the hydration process completed only, the calcium silicate hydrate will be formed in the concrete. That's why the strength starts to increase. Even you can test about after 56 days, after 90 days, definitely there will be some increase in the strength. But normally we are not doing due to shortage of time in the project. But we can try with it.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
think I have answered all your questions. I
Yes,
request
ma'am.
the coordinators to send me the YouTube link for my reference and my record. And I again for giving me this wonderful opportunity. Solar panel is safe. Yes, of course, it is safe to use, and many industries and buildings have been already implemented. That is safe. I think we can conclude.
Oh,
Okay, ma'am.
okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Subhatra ma'am.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Now I would like to invite Ms.
I'd
Subhatra
like to
ma'am.
invite Ms. Subhadra, Assistant Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, to give a brief history of our college. Subhadra ma'am.
Yes, sir. So good morning all. Our college, New Prince Sri Bhavani College of Engineering and Technology, established in the year 2008, is affiliated to Anna University and accredited by NAC and ISO 9001:2015 with excellent grade. A college offering many courses like civil engineering, electronics and communication engineering, computer science and engineering, electrical and electronics engineering, computer application and information technology. Our college has spacious classrooms and well-equipped laboratories and library, which caters to the need of the undergraduate and postgraduate students, research scholars, and the faculty. A full-fledged transport department functions in our college with buses to provide transport facility to students and staffs from various places. We also provide excellent and separate hostel facilities for both boys and girls, and admission is done as per the norms of the Anna University Chennai and Government of Tamil Nadu. We also have various centers such as entrepreneurship development, quality management, career guidance, placement and training, research and innovation, and tech super hub, which helps to enhance the students' knowledge. Our college provides the best technical education and with placement center functioning in the campus. The very active placement center serves as a foundation for many careers by guiding students in the right direction to continuous counseling and arranging for campus recruitment. This center creates a meticulous database and assists the students in getting placed in national and multinational companies through campus recruitment. We have successfully produced 91% placement in core companies like TCS, CTS, HCL, Infosys, and so on. When you step into the campus, you can feel beautiful ambience filled with our dreams, which will definitely come true. We provide enormous scholarship schemes for meritorious students by waiving off their tuition fees. We provide 100% free education for poor and deserving students. Apart from excellent academic track with various mission and vision goals, we also concentrate on several value-added courses and certificate programs. We also stimulate students to take part in sports and cultural activities. We also encourage students to participate in workshops, seminars, conferences, and so on. Our aim is to reach and sustain higher level of quality standard in terms of best academic process, research activities, center of excellence, advanced educational value-added training, and coaching and better placement support. Thank you.
Now I request Mrs. Vimala Madam to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. Good morning to everyone. First of all, I thank to management for giving me the webinar opportunity to express my gratitude on this special day. Respected and most valuable guest, Professor Dr. Asha, Civil Engineering, Thank you, ma'am, because this program can be completed with your explanation and inspiring your words. I would like to our special thanks to Honorable to our Chairman, Mr. Loganathan sir, Vice Chairman, Mr. Navin Prasad sir, for your logistic support and your guidance. Respected Principal Dr. T. Saravanan sir, you have been a constant support and you have given us lot of encouragement. I special thanks to our director, Mr. Swaminathan sir. I would like to thank our HOD Dr. Karthik sir and support our faculty members, our alumni students and all the participants. Once again, I would like to thank you again for making this event success. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you, on and all.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you,
Now,
sir.
now I will be winding up this session.
Thank you, sir.